to see, he has to see Truman.
I did. Don't miss this.
Okay. Thank you for coming this morning. I want to thank, first and foremost, our first responders on all levels. We have state first responders here working with county, working with city, working with local towns and villages. They do tremendous work. They always do. When we're hunkering down in our homes, they're leaving their homes to go out and protect the public. So I want to thank them. I want to acknowledge my colleagues who are here today. You know, we have a serious situation because we have federal official, Congressman Joe Morelli. We thank him very much for being here and for the good work he's doing for the people in Washington. It's my pleasure to be with the County Executive, Cheryl Donalfo. We have Mayor Lovely Warren. It's a pleasure to be with her, Assemblywoman Jamie Romeo. We have the New York State Head of the Emergency Preparedness, Major General Patrick Murphy. The head of the Public Service Commission, John Rhodes, which is going to be very important. The Public Service Commission oversees the local utilities. The New York State Department of Public Service Executive Deputy Commissioner Tom Congdon. The Governor's Office Director of Emergency Management, Michael Copey, is with us. National Guard Major Eric Fritz, and New York State Police Commander Riley is with us. Mother Nature is going to pay us a visit, and she can be deceptive at times. We have a nice day today. We're going to have a nice day part of tomorrow, but then we are anticipating a bad combination of weather components. Very high winds, cold temperatures, and possible lake effect snow. This starts Sunday afternoon into Monday. Sunday, tomorrow, the temperature is actually going to go up. It can be in the 50s, but the wind is going to start, and the temperatures will then drop on Monday into the 20s. And there's a potential for lake effect snow. The snow in and of itself is not a problem. It's then matched with severely high winds, steady winds as high as 40, 50 miles per hour, gusts up to 70, 75 miles per hour with the cold temperature. That's a bad combination. And we've seen this before, because this all happens on top of the situation that we have with Lake Ontario, where we have already heights that are above the monthly average. The lake is not at record levels, but it is higher than average and higher than it should be. So when you put the cold together with the wind, together with the snow, together with the high water at Lake Ontario, that is a bad combination. And we have suffered from this situation before. We've had significant power outages from wind damage. We've had significant flooding from the lake, and we are getting prepared for that now. The one thing we've learned over and over in these situations is if you wait for the storm to develop to start your actions, it's too late. And the only prudent course is to be prepared, do the coordination, get ready, and that is exactly what we are doing here. First, all the governments working together, so state, county, city, local forces all working together, all coordinating. We've had, unfortunately, too much experience in this coordination exercise, but it allows us to maximize our personnel, maximize our resources and equipment, and that's exactly what we're doing. And we also want the citizens at home to do what they need to do. If you are in an area that tends to flood or has flooded in the past couple of years when we've had these situations, Make the preparations you need today. Don't be deceived by looking out the window and saying, well, it looks fine. If there's a possibility of power outages, people now should have food, etc., that they need at home. Check on a neighbor to see if they need assistance. But we could have a problematic weather situation going into Monday. This is all compounded by the amount of water that is in Lake Ontario. As I mentioned, it's higher than average. This has been an ongoing problem for us. We have complained mightily and bitterly to the IJC, the International Joint Commission that regulates the level of the lake. We'll be sending them a letter today asking them to immediately expedite the release of water from the lake. We've had this conversation. I understand the connectivity between lowering the lake and corresponding bodies of water, but I know if you don't lower the level of the lake, we are going to have flooding and we are going to have a problem. We know that as a matter of fact because we've gone through it again. So I hope the IJC is more responsive than they have been in the past, and I hope they do it quickly. In the meantime, we are doing everything that we can to be prepared. We have our equipment pre-positioned. We have personnel pre-positioned. We have thousands of personnel who are ready to deploy. We have National Guard on standby. We have additional state police. We have emergency workers. We have stockpiles of emergency equipment that are all ready to be deployed. We hope for the best, but we prepare for the worst, and that is the best course going forward. I want to thank again all the first responders who, frankly, are getting too much work lately. Mother Nature has been throwing us a number of curveballs, and we've had to respond to a number of different situations. So they have done a phenomenal duty. And the National Guard, who just, God bless them. They are always there when we need them. Also my local partners and my local colleagues, starting with the congressman and the mayor and the person I have a pleasure to introduce, County Executive Cheryl D'Onofrio. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. First of all, let me say a heartfelt thank you to Governor Cuomo for being here today. We can always count on the governor when Mother Nature sends us her worst. The governor is always here to provide assistance, and we appreciate him for being here today, and to all my government partners as well. To all of our first responders, to our National Guard, you men and ladies and gentlemen really are upstanding members of our community, and we rely on you so heavily. And I want to thank you in advance for the work that you're going to be doing these next couple of days, and the work that you always do. You always stand ready when there's a call to be answered. You're the first to answer that call, so thank you to all of you. As has been said, based on the forecast that has been presented to us and the monitoring that we've been doing, we are expecting a rather significant prolonged event, starting with strong winds that are going to impact our area starting tomorrow. Based on the information that we have, this event will start early morning, Saturday night, 3 o'clock in the morning or so, leading into Sunday morning with sustained winds. After that, we will be seeing potentially significant wind gusts throughout tomorrow afternoon with a prolonged activity into Monday morning. So this has the potential for a very significant prolonged event, and the reason that we're here today, this morning, is to make sure that our citizens, our residents, are well prepared for this event. I want the public to know that in preparation for this significant weather event, we have been in constant communication with our partners and local government and our public safety environment to ensure that we have the resources to keep our residents safe. I want to thank all of our towns and villages, our first responders who participated yesterday in our preparatory telephone conversation to make sure that everyone was on the same page as we prepared as one community of Monroe for this event. For our citizens, it can't be stated enough that you need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. We want to make sure that our residents are well stocked and prepared to spend at least several days potentially without power. As stated before, it's always best to prepare for the worst if that weather does hit as we have anticipated. I'm encouraging residents now to get prepared, so things that you can be doing today. If you're home, please go outside, make sure that items that are not secured in your yard are properly secured. Bring things indoors that would have the tendency to blow and cause damage to your property and others. For folks who have medical needs, please make sure that you have adequate prescriptions on hand. If you are at home and are requiring oxygen, check with your providers, your family members to ensure that you have an oxygen supply as well. Everyone should have a plan. Everyone should have a plan, and I want to talk about the plan that we have in place as the County of Monroe. Based on the confidence of the forecast as projected, the winds, as I indicated, could lead to significant damage. I'm prepared at this point to declare a state of emergency in the afternoon hours, depending on the impact of the storm. So we will watch it. I am not now declaring a state of emergency, but I want the public to know that we will continue to monitor the situation, especially as the strongest gusts hit us tomorrow in the afternoon. Residents should be prepared for potential travel restrictions. I am not restricting travel at this time, but you should be prepared for that to happen potentially tomorrow during the afternoon at the earliest. For tomorrow, I would urge residents, be prepared today so that you don't have to go out tomorrow, right? I would hate to see residents out and about and then be trapped or stuck or in a situation that is unsafe because of the weather that is forecasted to come our way. So today would be an excellent day to get your errands taken care of. Again, prepare for the worst and hope for the best, but again, get those errands done today. Stay inside tomorrow. It's the safest thing to do. My executive command staff, including myself, will be at the Emergency Operations Center at 7 o'clock a.m. tomorrow to, again, monitor the winds and the weather as it progresses and continues towards our area. We're encouraging all of our public safety, our local government and support partners certainly to remain on call so that if and when we activate the Emergency Operations Center, those folks will be ready to join us at the Emergency Operations Center. At my direction, the County of Monroe has taken the following steps to prepare for this event. I want to at this time recognize Tim Kohlmeyer, our Emergency Operations Manager, and also Bob Burns, our Public Safety Director, who have been leading this command along with myself, and I want to thank you, gentlemen, for the great work that you've done. As I indicated yesterday, we hosted a conference call with all of our local officials and police chiefs, offering a briefing on the latest forecast and also to discuss joint preparations throughout the County of Monroe, including the City of Rochester. We've been in regular contact with the National Weather Service and our local meteorology experts to monitor the forecast as it develops. With respect to the Red Cross, we are preparing for the opening of public shelters should that become necessary. The Gantt Center will be open on Sunday. We're also ready to open a county shelter staffed by our Office of Emergency Management personnel as needed, potentially one on the east side of the county and one on the west side of the county. And that again will be based on whatever is necessary to make sure that our residents have a place to go. I have asked Monroe Community Hospital to prepare to house residents with special needs, special medical needs, if those residents are forced to vacate their home. So Monroe Community Hospital, again, stands ready to serve the public for our special medical needs residents. Our emergency management staff coordinator has worked with all of our local ambulance companies to ensure that oxygen is on hand for anybody who may need it during this potential weather event. Those stations are going to be located in Gates, Grease, and Parenton ambulance departments, but they will service the entire County of Monroe. Our Monroe County Department of Environmental Services has additional staff on standby, in addition to preparing all of our vehicles, generators, and pumps for citizens who may need assistance during this event. Our Department of Transportation in the County of Monroe has also put additional staff on standby, in addition to inventorying available resources to make sure, again, that our citizens have what they need. As I mentioned before, during the weather conditions that we are expecting, just some basic cautions to folks, especially tomorrow. As has been said, we're going to have significant wind in the morning. We're hearing that there might be a little lull in the activity, so that we don't want people to get a false sense of security, because those ferocious wind gusts sustained will again hit us about 1 o'clock. That's what we're hearing through the rest of the day. So if we have this event, for folks, just a basic safety rules, please don't go outside, okay? Don't go outside. If you see power lines down, stay away, don't touch them, obviously. If you're using backup generators, be sure that they are operating outdoors or ventilated safely. We don't want to have any carbon monoxide situations. Check on your neighbors, check on your residents, your older residents, especially your family members. Make sure they have a plan. Again, prepare for the worst. Make sure that we prepare for the worst. Have your emergency supplies ready: food, water, flashlights, firewood, medication. Again, all good things that you could be doing this afternoon. If you are relying on, obviously, electricity to operate your medical equipment, please make sure that you have alternate arrangements. That's something that you could be doing today. Bring your pets inside, and again, secure anything outside that should be secured so you don't damage your property or somebody else's. Finally, this is going to be potentially a significant prolonged event, so we want folks to be prepared. But this is Rochester, this is Monroe County, and we are a hardy group. We have a tremendous community that always looks out for one another, neighbors taking care of neighbors. You see all of our government partners standing together, our National Guard, our first responders, our police, EMS. We're all in this together to ensure the safety of our residents throughout this event. So thank you for being here this afternoon. It is now my pleasure to introduce a good friend of mine, a government partner of mine that we work hand in hand, and we will continue to do that throughout this event, Mayor Lovely Warren.
Thank you, County Executive. I want to thank Governor Cuomo for his support, continued support on behalf of the residents of the city of Rochester. I want to echo exactly what the County Executive and the Governor has indicated. All things in this situation point to very dangerous conditions. We want our residents to be safe, and I'm thankful that the Governor pulled us all together to work on this initiative together, from the federal levels all the way down to the local city level. The city of Rochester, of course, is prepared to work with our government partners. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., the Gantt Center will be open because we believe that there will be power outages. Our DES teams will be on hand 24 hours a day tomorrow, just to make sure that if power lines are coming down and trees are coming down, that we are cleaning them up aggressively. Want to recognize my Commissioner of DES, Norm Jones, and Joe Ladelfa. Great team working on behalf of the citizens of Rochester. We have been in constant communication with our fire department and our police department, making sure that they are ready and prepared for this event. We want our residents to know that we are here to serve them. I want to thank all of our first responders that are going to be out tomorrow, making sure that the citizens of Rochester are kept safely. As has been indicated before, please, if power lines come down, do not touch them. If you are using a generator, make sure that it is safely installed and not inside the house. Make sure that you take care of everything that you need to take care of today, because we do believe that this weather event tomorrow is going to be something that is very, very significant for our area, and we want everyone to, most of all, be safe. And that's the reason why the governor came in today to talk about this issue and to make sure that everyone is prepared. We are trying to be proactive with this and give people as much information as we have at this point in time. And so, again, thank you to our government partners. Thank the governor for his leadership always in making sure that we have the resources and support right here in our city and our community to be able to deliver what we need to deliver on behalf of our citizens. Thank you. And it is my great pleasure to introduce a great friend and colleague and doing a great job in Congress, Congressman Joe Morelli.
Good afternoon, thanks. You know, it occurs to me that people are often debating the role of government, what services we should or shouldn't provide, but when it comes to a crisis, I think everyone understands how important it is for people. They look to government, they look to their partners in government in the leadership, and I want to thank the governor. I think where many people over the years in positions like his would perhaps hesitate or try to think about what the right thing to do is, he's a man of fast action. He has had, I'm sure he would acknowledge, too many opportunities to lead in the time of crisis. It's one of the things we are all concerned about, the number of events like this. But he is always decisive. He is not delegating. He is on the ground, boots on the ground. He is very, very hands-on, and he's, in addition, just a wonderful friend. So I want to thank the governor for his incredible leadership and all that he does. Secondly, I just want to say that I'm so pleased to be here with my partners in government, the county executive, the mayor. Yesterday, all of us were out reaching out to, and I talked to a number of town supervisors. The role that the federal government may play, and frankly, to echo what others have said, let's hope for the best, but plan on and expect perhaps the worst, and we're certainly going to be able to be in a position to respond. But our role will be, if there is a determination, if we reach the threshold of damage to declare a federal disaster, I'm going to be working very, very closely with the governor and his staff and local partners to make sure that we're as aggressive as we can in urging federal support if we reach those thresholds, and we want to make sure that we count for every dollar. In the interim, I think what others have said is well worth repeating, which is people should be advised to take every precaution, to be prepared, check on family members, check on your neighbors, let's watch out for one another, let's get through this. And then, if need be, we're going to be working very, very hard to make sure the federal government steps up to provide relief as it should if we meet those thresholds. So, once again, thank you to all the partners who are here from government, and a special thanks to all the first responders, the National Guard, which is extraordinary, the men and women who make that up, and all of our first responders, members of DPW, and all of our public works folks who I know are going to be working very hard over the next 48 hours. And again, let's hope for the best, but let's be prepared. So, Godspeed.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions for myself or any of my colleagues? Yeah, you raise a very good point. Part of our hyper attention, if you will, and hyper preparedness is because of the experience we've had. We've seen what happens with the high level of water in the lake, and we've seen the damage of flooding, which has been quite significant in the past. We've seen what a windstorm can do and what power outages can do, and how long it can take the power to be reestablished. And we are preparing for that this time around. The utilities are regulated by the state, by the Public Service Commission. And we have made it clear to them in the aftermath of what I believe were unacceptable recovery efforts in the past, that they have to staff up with the personnel and the equipment to be able to respond to this type of emergency. They use the expression, the new normal. The utility companies no longer have the right to say, well, we were surprised by this, right? This is a once in 100 year occurrence. We have a once in 100 year occurrence 5 times a year now. And we expect the utility companies to be staffed up, proficient, and ready to respond on a timely basis. And we've had very direct conversations about that. We have penalized utility companies in the past for bad response, and I have gone as far as saying they don't have a right to be the utility company for a region. You know, that's not a God-given right. There's nowhere in the Old Testament or the New Testament that it says you have the right to be a utility company. They are licensed. And when the sun is shining and everything is going well, that's one job. The job we need done is after a storm and the recovery. And in the past, the recovery has taken too long. Now, the good news is this is more of an upstate Western New York storm than a statewide event. That gives us the opportunity to redeploy our own personnel and our own equipment. So we're sending personnel and equipment from downstate New York to the Western New York area to be able to supplement what happens here in Western New York. We're also asking other states, surrounding states, to have their utility crews on standby, what we call mutual aid. When Massachusetts or Connecticut has a problem, or Pennsylvania, we send our utility crews to help them. And I've asked them for the same consideration here. So if we do have a bad windstorm and trees break and limbs come down and power lines fall, etc., first, it falls to the utility. Second, we have our mutual aid network. Third, we have additional personnel from all across the state on standby to be here and be ready. Part of it is unavoidable, right? People tend to be impatient. The storm is over, the wind stopped, I should be able to flick the switch and the light should be able to come back on. That's not realistic either, but the prolonged delay that we have seen in the past, that is wholly unacceptable. We have all that equipment ready. We're watching, as I said, on standby to see if there is a rise in the water level. We'll be ready to deploy what we deployed last time, which was an innovative piece of equipment, basically portable dams that are brought to a location. They're then filled with water. They're large water bladders that serve as a temporary dam to protect the shoreline. They worked well in the last situation, and we have them ready to deploy again. Hopefully, we won't need them, but if we need them, we're ready. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.